What's good, guys? Welcome back to Behind the Dugouts, and I hope you are keeping well. Now, boy, do we have an emotional roller coaster to get through today. So, yesterday we had the news drop that Arsenal and Noni had agreed on personal terms, but at that time, Arsenal was still yet to approach Chelsea with any sort of formal bid for the player. But that has now changed. So we've got further updates and advancements on this today. So this is the latest on Noni Madueke. Understand Arsenal are set to send an opening bid for Noni Madueke after agreement with the player on personal terms. I'm told Noni has committed to a 5-year deal valid until June 2030, already approved by the players' camp. I have to admit, I think this one is now going to go through. The fact that Noni has agreed his personal terms with Arsenal, he showed his intent that he would be happy to go to them. It's just really going to come down to the clubs agreeing on a price. I know Chelsea are holding out for 50 million, whether that be 50 up front or 40, 45 in add-ons. You know, this will be negotiated between both. Arsenal will definitely come in at a cheaper price than what Chelsea want at first. That's just a negotiation tactic. So don't be worried about the first bid that comes in if it's quite far off the mark. You know, it will be reported, guaranteed that it's going to be far off the mark. It's always with the first bid. Nobody comes in at exactly what you want. Otherwise, you know, there'd be no point in negotiating. You'd just be slapping money down on the table. So have no worries in this one. It's just a matter of time, and I think it will be done relatively quickly. Arsenal clearly have an appreciation in Noni Madueke, and you know the idea is to bring him in to be a backup for Saka, and then he also has the ability to play on the left hand side as he's done at Chelsea, which Arsenal see a great benefit in. Now the same cannot be said for the Arsenal fan base. There is a huge meltdown going on at the moment regarding this. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, anywhere that it can be published on social media, they are publishing it to show their disinterest, how much they don't want Noni Madueke in their side. They don't want to be paying 50 million for a backup to Saka. This is not a market opportunity for them. You know, it is beautiful to watch. Tears in my eye, the joy that I have seeing Arsenal fans in a complete disarray regarding this. It's just beautiful to watch, you know, and the fact that they are going to give us money for another one of our players, albeit this time it's not an oldie that's retired and past his time. It is a young player, but it is a player that is a little bit surplus to requirements. Of course, Noni is a good player. He has shown improvement over the years, but I do feel there's lots of areas to his game that he has not improved on, one of them being his finishing. I think it's an area that he still struggles with. He just always looks off balance. And I think with Esteval coming in, Noni has now fallen further down the pecking order. You know, we've got Pedro Neto, who is the starter at the moment on the right-hand side. You've had Gittins come in, who will be the left-hand side player. And then you've got Esteval, who will, you know, alternate between Pedro Neto, and he might even alternate between Palmer. But his finishing already for an 18-year-old is miles better than Noni's, and not even his finishing. Look at his free kicks, you know, set pieces. He just all round seems a better quality than what Noni is, and Noni is quite a few years older. So for me, Noni has fallen down the pecking order, which has led him to become surplus to requirements, which is why Chelsea, I think, are looking to cash in, especially with Arsenal be, you know, willing to pay hopefully the price that they want. And I think, you know, as a Chelsea fan base, I think we've all come to terms with the fact that Noni will be going. No one seems too worried about it now. There was obviously quite a lot of discussion while it was going on over the last week. Is it the right idea to send Noni over to a rival to, you know, potentially strengthen them, which he will strengthen them, of course. However, the Premier League is where the money is. I don't think there's any club outside of the Premier League that would be able to afford what we would want for Noni. So I always expected him to go to someone in the Premier League. I know there was a little bit about Newcastle sort of way back when and last summer as well, but that just didn't materialise to anything. So I think over the course of the last few days, people have just sort of come to terms with it in the Chelsea fan base, and we're sort of fine with it. We're not too worried about it. Of course, he will, you know, strengthen Arsenal, but he's not going to elevate them to the next level. He's not going to take them that next step further, which is what they need to do now. So I think we're sort of happy with it, and we're happy to, you know, get the money in for him. And of course, we're happy to watch the absolute meltdown that's going on at the moment, make it even sweeter. So that's the latest on Noni. Now, of course, with a player exiting, we know if the club is going to make sales, they're going to bring players in to replace the players that they're selling. So there has been some new news on one of those particular players in Mohammed Kudus, and it ain't looking good, bruv. This is the latest on Mohammed Kudus. Tottenham are set to bid again for Mohammed Kudus next week as players keen on joining Spurs. Chelsea have also been in touch with Kudus' camp with more clubs interested, but Spurs want to accelerate. Thomas Frank have already approved Kudus as a target. Then we also had this. Kudus is not negotiating with any other club. He wants to go to Tottenham. Well, that's pretty much it then, isn't it? I don't really know why he would want to go to Tottenham. Of course, he'd have Champions League for a season. You know, he's going to be pretty much a guaranteed starter at Spurs. There's no one in their front line that I think he wouldn't get in front of. But it is a, strange decision for him to want to go to Spurs. We know what they're like. He will know what they're like by now. So it is a strange one. I don't think there's many other clubs on the table as reported. I also don't think that Chelsea have made much of an interest in him. I think it's gone as far as inquiring about what the potential price could be and if he was available, and I think that's where it ended. I do believe that if we really wanted Kudus, we would have gone for him and he wouldn't be, choosing Spurs. That's 100%. Now, I have to caveat this. There's always the opportunity with Spurs that the deal could be hijacked. We know what happens at medicals. Shout out to Willian. It's never done until they have that player holding up their shirt confirming, the contract's been signed. So there is always that little opportunity, and it'll be playing in the back of the Spurs fans' mind, on repeat. Is this going to be another situation where Chelsea are going to come in and hijack the deal? It is definitely a possibility. But I do believe with this one that I think it's dead. I think if we really wanted him, we would have gone for him already. So I do expect Kudus to sign for Spurs this season. But then it does leave Chelsea in a situation where there's not many other wingers out there that are available and that they, could be going for, at least for the price and the wages that they want. Obviously, there's one player that I'm going to talk about now that I would love to have at the club, and from the looks of it, he's not having the best of times at his current team in Real Madrid, and that's Rodrygo. Obviously, it came out that he wanted to stay and wanted to work under Alonso, sort of beginning of the summer period and the transfer window. That's when the rumours were, spiking up. I think Arsenal were even interested in, and we've been interested in him because there was talks that he would want to leave. That then got squashed, and now it's slightly changed a bit because he's not starting. He's getting on the pitch as a sub every now and again, and he doesn't look too happy about it. And there are the rumours coming out that he may still be interested in leaving Real Madrid this summer. Now, we have to slow down here. We know his wages are going to be through the roof. I think he's on about 250k at the moment. So it's already, well above the structure that the club want to pay players. His fee is probably going to be anywhere between 70 to 100, in and around that region, really, unless we can sort of negotiate and get maybe a cut price deal. But I don't think so with this type of player. Again, he is young, so he fits within the age bracket, but the experience that this player's had, he's played at the top level for many, many years. Champions League, La Liga winner. He is, the cream of the crop. Left wing, right wing, whatever wing you want him to put on, he's going to play, and he's going to bring that experience. I would love for Chelsea to go out and bring in Rodrygo. Do I think it is going to happen? No, I don't think so. I don't think the club are going to break the mould. If we look at it realistically, when we started this transfer window, the biggest, area of improvement that we needed to do was up front in the striking position. Definitely a goalkeeper and a centre-back. Those were the three positions that the club sort of touted that they needed to improve on dramatically, because at the time we weren't really looking at selling Noni. There was no real reason to recruit another winger apart from the left-hand side. I don't think the Mudryk, details had come out by then, so even the left wing was quite stacked. If you look at Tyreek George, Mudryk, I know they let Sanchez go, so they were always only going to bring in one winger at that moment, and I think Bino Gittins was one that was always on the minds of Chelsea for the price, the age, the wages. It just suited them to a T. And then we look at the the strikers that we wanted to go for in terms of Viktor Gyokeres and Victor Osimhen. Club would not pay their wages, so with Rodrygo's wages being so high, I just don't see it as being possible. I'd love it, but have to be realistic. I don't think it's even a question for the club. Now, the other player that has been mentioned, and it's been mentioned quite a few times actually, is Aston Villa's Morgan Rogers. Another young player that can play anywhere across the front line, attacking mid, left wing, right wing, very similar to Cole Palmer. Great technical ability, good shooting ability, has the intelligence football to pick out those, worldy passes. It's quite a mainstay in the Aston Villa teams, got the Premier League experience, which, as fans, we love when players have that experience. It just makes settling in to the league and team that much faster. And he would fit within the club's wage structures. He's not going to have ridiculous wages. I don't think his transfer fee would be too ridiculous either. So it's definitely more feasible for the club. Do I like Morgan Rogers? Yeah, I think he's a great player. He is another young player, fits within the mould, but he has a bit more experience than some of the other players that we've gone for in the past. He has got tons and tons of ability, so he would elevate the team in certain aspects. He's versatile, which is what Maresca wants. It's what the club wants, so he fits that mould. But if I had the option between Morgan Rogers and Rodrygo, I definitely would take Rodrygo because of the experience that comes with his wage and his versatility. Because again, Rodrygo can play left and right hand side too. But again, Morgan Rogers would be the more feasible option. But, let me know in the comments below, if you had a choice between Rodrygo or Morgan Rogers, which one would you pick? Right, now we've reached a part of the video that I was not looking forward to getting to. I was happily making fun of the Arsenal fans' meltdown that's happened over the last few days and, watching their tears with a smile on my face. However, they have been given some positive news that is going to change those tears into elations of happiness and excitement, because there's been some news on a particular striker that has been one of the talked about strikers all over the transfer window, and nobody can understand really why he was still not being, touted for any club. No one making a real proper approach for him. Everything just sort of went dead. And that is Viktor Gyökeres. And there's been some movement, there's been some advanced talks, and this is the latest on those talks so far. Breaking, Viktor Gyökeres has agreed a 5-year contract with Arsenal FC. Club-to-club talks are now ongoing to try and finalise a fee. Gyökeres has told Sporting he won't return for pre-season training and wants to move to Arsenal. Andre Beretta trying for 70 million, Sporting want 80. We also had this from Fabrizio. Gyökeres has reached total agreement with Arsenal on contract terms and informed Sporting of his desire to join. No intention to discuss other options, only to proceed with Arsenal as soon as possible. Deal underway. I have to be real, guys, this one worries me. It was a position that Arsenal really needed to improve if they were going to, take that next step further, challenge for titles and win Premier League titles. They really lacked up front. They only have Kai Havertz, Gabriel Jesus when he's fit. Not quality top forwards that are going to get you 20, 30 goals a season and take you to that next level to get you over the line. And I was hoping, really hoping, that they were going to get Benjamin Sesko. Albeit he's a young, promising striker, I didn't feel at this current moment that Sesko was enough to take Arsenal to the next level. I do think Gyökeres is. There is lots of things floating around that, people think Gyökeres is not going to come in and he's going to struggle in this league. The geezer's hitting 60 plus goals a season. Do you think he's not going to be able to score 20 goals, 20 plus goals in the Premier League? You're having a laugh. He's going to come in here and he's going to elevate Arsenal to the next level. All they needed was someone to be on the end of their crosses, their passes in, and just put the ball at the back of the net. That's all he's there for. He's not there to try and link up the football or bring others into play. It's not what Arsenal need. They got enough players to do that. They need a goal scorer, and by the looks of it, they've gone and got one of the best around. This does concern me quite a lot. You know, the business that Arsenal have done so far hasn't been too bad. They've obviously brought in Zubimendi. They've lost Jorginho and Partey. They've gone. So they needed to bring some reinforcements for Declan Rice. They're looking at bringing in Noni as a backup for Saka, but they still weren't bringing in that elite striker, and that seems to have changed now. So Arsenal, I think, are going to be ones to watch next season with the way that they are going, especially if this Gyökeres deal does go over the line. But, you know, again, let me know what you think. Do you think Arsenal is going to be a team to watch next season? Do you think the Gyökeres signing will take them to that next level, or are you not worried? You know, doesn't matter if they've got him or not, they're still not going to compete. Drop a comment below. And look, you know, I expect there to still be quite a lot ongoing over the next weeks, you know, / month. This transfer window has still got ages till it closes. So I expect there to be some, you know, quite a few more substantial signings across the board from clubs. I'm expecting Chelsea to make a few more signings, and we've obviously got quite a lot of outgoings to ship as well. So, you know, it's not over yet. There's still going to be some more excitement to go through, but for now, that's all from me, guys. And if you're enjoying the content, please hit that like button, drop a comment below. Feedback is always greatly appreciated, and I will catch you guys in the next one.